Episode 97, Why You Think Something is Wrong with You, with Caleb Price.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and certified through the Life Coach School. Together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with the coach? Here we go.
We can often get swept up in doing all the things. And when we are doing all said things and our lives start not going as planned, we can believe there is something wrong with us. We find ourselves in a place where the circumstances outside of us are deciding our worth and value in the world. College-age kids are no exception to this way of thinking. They can often get really caught up in doing all the things and then end up having a lot of anxiety when things aren't working as they had hoped. If you are a parent to college-age children or a college student yourself who is feeling down because all the things you are doing seem to not be going to plan, you are definitely going to want to come listen to the wisdom our youngest coach in the directory has to offer. Caleb Price loves coaching college-age kids to help them start thinking instead of doing their way to success. Caleb is a firm believer that Heavenly Father always desires what we desire or something better. And he wants to help all college-age kids really believe that and see it happen in their lives.
Hey there, folks. Here it is Wednesday, but this podcast will be released on a Tuesday, but I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. I am really excited to be with Coach Caleb Price today. Caleb, as far as coaches goes in our community, he is the youngest one on the directory. And he just brings such a good perspective and a fresh light. And I'm excited for you guys to hear from him. So Caleb, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Caleb. I'm also known as Caleb, the college coach. So I'm a life coach. I'm also 25 years old, just graduated from college, and I specialize in coaching college students. So I help young adults who are in college, who are looking to overcome anxiety, perfectionism, who really just want to overcome hard things and achieve their dreams by giving them the mindset to do that. So, yeah. And I mean, there's lots of other fun things about me. I like to ski, love playing the violin. I like doing hard things. I like podcasting and movies. Movies are my favorite. So
awesome. He just did a really hard thing. He was telling me about it over the weekend. I don't know if you want to tell people about that, but it's like essentially climbing Mount Everest. And anyway, so got my wheels turning, but you need to tell us.
No. It's just cool because I think more people should know about it. It's called 29029. It's founded by Colin O'Brady and Jesse Itzler. They're both two very famous people in kind of the endurance event and world records and stuff like that. But basically, the goal is to climb a mountain the equivalent number of times that it would take to reach Mount Everest if you just started at the very bottom and did it in a day and a half. It was amazing. It was easily the hardest thing that I've ever done. But wow, so many lessons I learned from it. And how amazing was it and we actually did it. I mean, there was a point where we're not going to make it. And that would have been fine. But we did it. And it just goes to show we are far more capable than we think we are. And so that is a great note to start on, I think.
Oh, so true. I am such a believer in that. And a lot of things in my life, I feel like I've had to manufacture hard because I like to progress. And oftentimes I feel like the best way to progress is through struggles and trials. And anyway, I don't know. As parents, we've done that with our kids, kind of put them in some pretty precarious situations and been like, get yourself to the top of that mountain. And it's pretty amazing how they feel about themselves when they're done. I think it's awesome. I think everybody should participate in some way in something that is hard because we learn so much.
100%. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And really, to be honest, life in general is hard, right? So we're all here participating in something.
Yeah, we're all doing it.
We are all doing it. Some of us just seek for it in other ways. But anyway, all right. what is it about college kids that you love doing? What brought you? I guess I have to ask this question because most coaches that I talk with have a lot of life experience. And I'm not saying that you don't have a lot of life experience, because I know you do, but we don't often get people at this age that have jumped into coaching already as a coach.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly understandable because like, I mean, not to like bring up a stereotype, but I didn't go through a midlife crisis. I mean, you could say that, but I'm like,
I mean, what are you saying about me, Caleb?
No, I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying typically you're right in that most coaches, they come to the game with like, I lived my whole life with this issue, or I saw this happen so much with people. And to be frank, it's the same with me. Basically, as I grew up in my life, like there were so many things either emotionally and mentally that were just going on in my thinking that I was just unaware of. And I kind of just assumed like that's life. Mm-hmm. And it really got triggered when I came home from my mission. My mom she was being introduced to life coaching. She was really getting into it, becoming a coach herself. And I was like, it was like a complete 180 shift from who she was. She was an amazing, wonderful, honestly, perfect mom for me. But to see she had so much light and love for herself now, whereas before I could tell she struggled. She had lots of regrets, or she just would kind of beat herself up, or like there was just disconnect and disharmony sometimes in our family, which, totally natural. But like, it was so fascinating to see this shift. And then I was like, well, cool. I'm going to go to college now and kind of you do your thing. And and that's good for you. Like good for you, but I'm going to go live my life. And it wasn't until like 2 years in when I was really in a spot where I was like, I needed help. I was just stuck in so much anxiety, stuck in like, I was doing so much with my life, like jobs and scholarships and research and dating someone at the time and always with my friends. But I was just spinning in all this doing, thinking that this was going to fix my life. Mm-hmm. Thinking that like, oh, I was going to feel better when I finally accomplish this thing, do this thing, my plan, like all of it's going to be put on the right path, to the point where, I kind of just gave up and decided, broke up with my girlfriend. That only gave me more anxiety, and just really drove myself in with all these negative self-talk, beating myself up to the point where I was just like, enough's enough. I got to meet with someone. So I met with a coach. You might know her as Jenny, the LDS mission coach. She's amazing. And from that very first meeting, when I discovered the principle of like what it meant about change and understanding that there was nothing wrong with me and that everything I was doing to quote unquote fix me was in fact only hurting me, and that like that wasn't the way to progress, and like just so many concepts from the very beginning that I just dawned on me. And I was like, oh my gosh, why has no one talked to me about this? Like, why has this knowledge been so like kind of held back, it feels like. And so for me, I was just like, I want to be that solution. Like I see so many of my college student friends and just young adults everywhere who are in the thick of it and we're struggling. And with, I think, the advent of information and everything just coming at us so much earlier than it used to, like it just made perfect sense for me. Like I want to be that voice for me. I want to be that voice for the me out there that is in the thick of it, that's struggling and doesn't think that there's anything different in their life, and they just kind of accept it the way it is. And so that's why I just saw it and thought, hey, I think this is something that I want to do, and I'm going to do it.
That is so awesome. And I can't help but think when you were talking that we all think it's in the doing that we're going to be able to figure out who we are or fix all of the problems that we're experiencing. And you're right. It gets us farther and farther from all of that if we just get stuck in that doing of all the things and good things, right? For most of us, it's like we're participating in fantastic things, but the doing doesn't get us there.
But the doing, it disconnects us from ourselves. We can do things, but if we're not focused on what is happening internally at the same time at the cost of those things, then it becomes hurtful, even those good things.
Yeah. I'm certain that along this process in your cycle of doing, you probably got caught in that trap of thinking, well, clearly there's something wrong with me.
Yes, 100%. I really believe it's something that afflicts everybody. It's kind of just part of the natural human condition because we're intelligent human beings. We have a brain that works. We just don't put together the pieces of who the players are in the game. So like you out there are living your life and you have a plan. So like for me, it was like, oh, I'm going to go to college. And then like in the next couple of years after my mission, I'm going to meet this wonderful girl and we're going to get married and start our family. And then you got your career. Like you create that in your head.
Yep.
Or I don't know, whatever your dream is, you create that. But then things don't go according to plan. Like maybe there's a diagnosis or maybe there is, date gone wrong or, engagement falls apart or like you are in a really hard class and you are forced to drop out or you have to get a different job, death in the family, something happens. And then we start to put the pieces together that these things kind of keep on happening. And I think as college students, we begin to recognize that like, oh, the common denominator isn't like the things outside of me. It's me. I'm the reason that these things keep happening. There must be something wrong with me. And it's just so funny because, yeah, it's so easy to think that, but it's absolutely 100% not true. Like to a degree, you could argue that, but how is that going to make you feel better? And also, we're forgetting that our brain is the one offering us this idea as the truth. When in fact, the brain has also been a participant in all of this the whole time, meaning that your brain was there making those decisions. Your brain was there giving you those thoughts, giving you those feelings of maybe we shouldn't do this, or maybe this is the wrong thing, giving you that fear. And then we give into that kind of thing, or we give up, or things happen. It's the one that's always offering us kind of this negativity about ourselves. And it's just funny that we don't consider, hey, maybe you're actually the thing that's making me do all these things. Like I'm choosing to listen to it, but we don't think that.
Like we are the consistent piece in it, which is the good and the bad news, right? Because that means then that we can also change it. Okay. I am going to age myself a little bit here. Well, maybe kind of, but
that's fine.
When you talked about, like when things don't go the way that you plan, which they never do, right? They never go the way we plan. We think we have a great plan in mind. It never goes that way. I think historically in our religion, we kind of have like, there's a conversation sometime that it's like, well, we get what we deserve. So it's kind of like a little bit of this, I must be doing something wrong in my life if the plan's not going accordingly. Now, that was kind of more of the story told, I think, when I was younger. I'm curious if kids these days, see, there I am. I'm going to, if the kids these days are if they still buy into that. Do you guys can you see through the falsehood of that story?
The nice part is that I think a lot of the falsehoods of the stories we've been telling are starting to open up, just as people are beginning to tell their stories more and more. But I believe it still is kind of in the back there. Like it's still something that some people kind of buy into believing. I remember having conversation with my sister and other friends just saying like, things aren't going to plan. Like, yeah, like I must be doing something wrong. Or it's a lot of these things are like, it's not God's timing and stuff like that. Like, which, yeah, if that works for you, that's totally fine. But a lot of us think like it's sort of like a damning kind of sense, so to speak, like where we're just like, well, I guess we're stuck. Like the thing that I wanted, I guess it just was unworthy and I don't get it. And I just don't agree with that. I think that on part of us, it's about our belief in the miracle. It's about our faith in ourselves in it. And what are we going to be doing for that? As well as I'm a firm 100% believer that God always gives us exactly what we want or something better. It's always seeking, well, okay, what's the better in this situation? Like if you asked me 3 years ago when I had like another bad breakup and I thought like my world was ending, like if you asked me then, oh, am I getting what I want? Like, no, I made a choice first off. So it was my choice to own up to, but also looking back now, I'm like, yes, 100%. That was exactly the right thing for me. That's exactly what I wanted. I am right exactly where I need to be. I love my life. But
Mhm.
that change of loving my life only came in me deciding that I love myself, that I love my life, and having full belief that things are always working out for me.
That conversation is one that I really love because I love when we hear conversations in the secular world match the conversations that we have
Mm-hmm.
um, in our religion. So, you know, we've always been taught that Heavenly Father is working for us, right? Sometimes we don't always believe that, but we've always been taught that He has our best interests at heart, and He's always there, always trying to help us. And I remember when I started working a little bit more kind of in the secular professional world, hearing conversations like the universe is always working in our favor is kind of the way that you hear it. And it's an eternal truth, right? It's just spoken a different way. And I love it. I love when we see, yes, the things we've been talking about, the things that you and I learned as 5-year-olds in primary are things that adults are learning at a much older age, just in a different way. So I love being reminded, yeah, that I've had these eternal truths in my life for so long. And a lot of people pay a lot of money to learn the things that we have learned since we were kids. And it is the truth. Heavenly Father is always working in our favor.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so I have college age children, and all of my, for any of my kids, I really do want what's best for them. And
Yep.
I think sometimes I hope it's not this way for my kids, but I'm certain it just happens naturally. That like the expectations or the hopes and dreams that we have for our kids can end up leaving our adult children, or any of our children for that matter, thinking that maybe their parents are disappointed in them, or that
Mhm.
they're just not living up to expectations. Speak to me about this. Tell me all the things that I should know. Like,
Well, it's first off for everybody out there, all your parents, like you're doing a great job. Like it's really difficult, honestly, to because we're kind of reaching our adulthood. We're reaching this point of our life where we get to finally ask ourselves, who do we want to be? Like, who is the person we want to be? We're at a point where we're able to accept all this new information. We're away from our parents or our home. And so we get to just kind of, it's really all on us. And
Mhm.
so with that, it can come into our thinking that we want to put a lot of pressure upon ourselves. Like we already have a lot of typically internal pressure going on. And so it's really easy to then say, this must be coming from other people. This isn't coming from me. Why would I want to put pressure on myself? Like this thing feels so outside of me. And then the easiest person to usually blame for pressure is parents. Like it just makes the most sense because genuinely you want the best for us. And so this is where I think it's so fascinating that everything that we do is honestly motivated by love in the family. You as a parent are motivated by love for your children. So typically you don't want them to get hurt. That's like a typical, like noble
Right,
desire. And
right.
us as kids, we want to show usually gratitude and respect for, like everything we've been given. And so we are motivated by love to not disappoint. We don't want to let you down. And so it's fascinating because it's easy for the kids to portray a picture of everything going all right. And then the parents to be curious about, is everything really going all right? Because I want to take care of you. And then that's where the misconceptions happen, where we think that you don't love us, or you're, as parents, you think your children don't love you, which is so fascinating, where we just have this miscommunication when in fact it's always motivated by love. It's just put out there in, unfortunately, the wrong way. We're thinking about the wrong thing. We're thinking about always how the other person is feeling rather than understanding where we are and giving people their agency. And so the best recommendation I can give for parents out there who just like want to understand their kids is just to let them have their space and have them come to you. Of course, you can ask them questions. You want to be involved in their life. That's going to look different for you, but you kind of have to be satisfied with the answers that they give. Unfortunately, it's kind of like you just have to like understand that they're their own person now. and that they are also capable of taking care of themselves. And of course, your heart yearns because you're like, I want everything to be right for them. I want everything to be good for them. That means you are a noble, empathetic, amazing human being that just needs a little bit of practice in feeling all the other feelings that Heavenly Father also experiences. Because on a daily basis, he watches each and every one of us, and he doesn't interfere in our lives. He delivers us, he gives us comfort, but we have to go seeking after him to get that typically. I mean, he's always present. Right. That's one thing, is that as a parent, you can always be present in a child's life.
Okay, but, I can hear my son, my college age son, which like wanting me to rewind the segment over and over and over again because I honestly, like, he doesn't want to tell me anything. And so I'm always like pestering with 100 questions and he's like, Mom. Anyway, so this is good. This is good for me to hear from, I don't know. It's just a good reminder.
But at the same time, like, you get to be who you are. It's all about who you just want to be for your kids. Like, you can be that pestering person and just have them say, like, this is who I am. That's just a decision. But it's just understanding that they also get a choice in that matter. Yeah. They might not appreciate it. They might not feel love in that way. That's just the way their, brain's been wired. And of course we could have, as a coach, go in there and figure out like, okay, why are you putting like your parents' expectation upon you? Why do you think you're going to disappoint them? Why do you feel like your life needs to be fixed? But if they don't want to get coached, or if they don't want to look at deep down what's going on inside, which, to face it, college students typically don't want. It's their first time in life where they're like feeling everything. And so typically they begin learning how to push things away. Mm-hmm. So which is why I think it's valuable to have them have these experiences to like really look down deep and kind of be on their own. But at the same time, they might just need to accept also that like, like I just accept for my dad, like I know my dad's always going to ask me questions that sometimes I think are unnecessary, that he already knows the answers to. He stalks things on Facebook and Instagram. He sees our lives, but he still asks us questions.
Yeah.
And I think for kids out there is understanding that your parents always do things out of love. Like, obviously there are, there's exceptions to the rule, unfortunately, but for the most part, your parents are always looking out for you, and everything they're doing is motivated out by love. Even if it annoys you tremendously, you might just need to rewrite the equation in your head and understand, oh, when they do this, it means they love me. So when my dad pesters me, it means he loves me. And so you, as well as for the parents, you might need to rewrite the equation of when he ignores me, maybe he's showing that he he respects his own independence. And maybe there's something that can be said that he still loves me in that kind of moment. Maybe that's just the way he communicates that.
Yeah, that is so good. I am sitting here thinking that a parent hack that many of us parents could grab onto if we have college age kids. Yes, we just want things to be right for them. As you said, it's really coming from a place of love. But one of the best things I think that we could offer so that we could feel better, which I know this is totally like trying to control a situation, but not really, is get your college age students, college age kids, get them a life coach. I'm not kidding. Like, they probably, I mean, I don't know, but many of them probably can't afford it. But as parents, it's the best thing that you could do for your kids. And whether you have to do that through the guise of like, I got you a coach who works with athletes, or I have a coach who works with college age kids, so that it's not like you're like, hey, you have major problems in your life, you need some help. But it's like, look at, like, this is somebody that could really help you excel at what you're doing right now. Anyway, I just want to say that is something as a parent that is just a great thing that we could do for our kids is, and I say kids, and I know you don't want to be referred to as a kid, but you're the same age as my kids. So
we still call them. I mean, I call them kids too, and I'm like their age. So,
but I don't know. That's just a great hack. If you want to feel better about your kids and know that they are kind of doing some things to take care of themselves, a life coach is a fantastic way to go.
Yeah, 100% agree. Totally.
I'm sure you would agree with that, but.
Well, I mean, yeah, and it helped my life. Like, I mean, with my relationship with my parents, 100%. Like, Like I'm able to be my own person and I'm able to work through when I make things mean different things for my family.
Yeah.
And I just have a way better relationship with them.
Oh, so, so true. All right. We've all heard this, that, teenagers, our prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until what is it? Like the age has changed. Like it used to be like 18 or 20. And now I'm hearing older like the
Yeah,
ages.
it's like even 24 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Okay. Why is this the good news, Caleb?
It's fantastic because it just means that there's more opportunity for you to really understand and grow in your learning. And not to say that is impossible for the people, that are older than that, like, because that's hardly
Like
not
me.
true. No. It's just that the thing that I think is fascinating is when I work with my clients, I just see that for them, the knowledge just comes really quickly. Like I tell them something and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, typically when I worked with people like maybe older, they're just like, wait, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, because we just get firm in our beliefs as we get older. And so it's really hard to, the longer a tree grows, the harder it is to uproot it. And so when it comes to our thoughts and belief patterns that we grow, the younger that you are and the quicker that you can get yourself kind of in there, seeing what is growing, the quicker you can pull things out, and it's a whole lot easier. Now, that's not to say that it's still like, there's still journeys and difficulties. And I think as young people, we also like to say we understand things a lot sooner than we actually do. So like I was working with the client and we've been working for like almost 3 months. And just recently she was just like, oh my gosh, this is what it actually means. I was like, yeah, that is what it actually means. But still, I think it's just absolutely 100% amazing to see that we can learn to love ourselves. We can learn to, understand what a growth mindset is. We can really be expansive and practice these mindful principles. The sooner we do that when we're younger, the more opportunities we're going to have and the greater access and capability in our thinking is going to be available to us. I just think it's just an amazing opportunity. And I think it speaks to everybody and understanding that, one, we don't understand a whole lot about the brain. And so we need to do our part in really opening up, like, what am I capable of that I don't even know is possible?
And I'm sure in that conversation, as you're showing them what they're capable of or what their reality is and how they can expand their brain and their thinking, is the piece that I always love when I'm working with my clients, is when they're telling me about all the things that are creating this emotion of like sadness or disappointment or depression or whatever it is. But, it's like when that moment when you say, and it's not actually that thing that's causing you to feel that way. And they're always like, no, but it is. Yeah. But it is that thing. Because if it wasn't happening, I wouldn't be experiencing this feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it. Like, what is it? 100%. Tell me like what happens. Well, how your clients react in that moment.
I just love it because they're always just like, it's just like so shocking usually to them. I think that's with everybody, but I think with my clients, like being younger, they get it a lot quicker. I think just because how much we've been exposed to and how much the dialogue about mental health and thinking and everything is just like been so much earlier ingrained in them. I think they understand a little bit more how their brain can kind of create situations that aren't even real or create emotions over things that you're like, actually, this doesn't matter. And so it's just fascinating for when they like get it out on the table and then they see, oh, this is actually the issue. It's not what I thought it was. It's not what I was obsessing and going crazy over. It's actually just this thought that like actually should be pretty easy to change. I just have to rethink it. And then it's just amazing for them because then they can go out and apply it in their life. I've just seen like, especially when it comes to fear, like so many young people are afraid. And it's fascinating to see and for them to dive deep and really understand like, what is this fear? Like, what is actually being created? What is happening here? What am I actually afraid of happening? And when they figure out, oh, it's just this thought that I decided was the truth, then their whole world opens up.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? My favorite thing is when I can tell people, and you don't have to believe everything you think, right? And
Yeah.
we do. Like I still believe that I have to think everything I think. That I have
Yeah.
to, yeah, whatever. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I bet that you have the clientele that you're working with is very rewarding. Yes, because it's like you're opening up this whole world for them at a younger age that they didn't even know was possible.
Yes. I mean, it's just what I love for my life. And I'm just so glad I have it now. I just think the earlier that everyone is able to kind of dive into this kind of experience, the more that they're able to just enjoy the life that they're living and recognize, again, it doesn't need to be fixed. It's not a problem what's going on in their life. It's exactly what's supposed to be happening. It's exactly the human experience that we're supposed to be getting. And where is just our thinking a little misconstrued or creating something that we just don't want to experience? Where can we begin to take responsibility with our life? And like, this is the time where we're putting all the responsibility on us. And a lot of us are either taking it on or shying away from it. And so it's just a really big, to put on top of everything that we have to decide. It's just fascinating. I think it's just amazing to recognize where the true power of decision and responsibility comes from when it comes to our feelings in our emotional state, as well as just our thinking in our brain.
What you just said was kind of grabbed my attention. It sounds to me like there's a lot of all or nothing happening, which we all tend to do that. But it's like you said, we either take it all on or people are pushing it all away. Are you seeing that to be like a pretty big separation?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're anything like me or a lot of the people I work with, it's just like, I'm going to do everything. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just going to take on all these responsibilities and push myself up to, the highest degree. I'm going to be like super active in church and like just doing everything. And I think it's just common for us young people because we begin to put associations with where our worth is. And so if we see our worth in like doing these things, like keeping the commandments and like getting good grades and putting ourselves out there in activities without understanding why we're doing these things, we can so easily burn out. And I burned out several times without understanding and recognizing, oh no, there's a balance. And actually, it's more importantly, there's a person beneath all the doing. There's me. I just get to decide now what my life is. And so I think a lot of people, young people, go through a crisis when they're doing so much because now they're recognizing, wait, I don't have to be doing any of these things. Who am I? And what do I want with my life? And so that begs a lot of questions versus the people who are kind of more rebellious and, they see all these responsibilities and they're just like, I don't want to do any of that. And kind of push against that grain, nothing against that either. But it's just it's so fascinating to see both ends of the spectrum. We either see we have to do everything. And if we're just like, no, I'm not doing that, that's like way too much. Then I have friends who are just like, I'm doing the bare minimum. And that's not wrong to do either of those things, totally fine. But what is happening to our soul at the end of the day? How do we feel about ourselves at the end of the day when we're doing all or nothing?
Yeah, and I think that takes us right back to our opening conversation is, our desire to progress. And either if we get that convoluted in our mind, if we're a person who's going to take it all on, that desire to progress will be our total downfall and take us right to, the crisis state. Or if we're on the other end of the spectrum, we are not getting the progression. We're not getting the satisfaction and the fulfillment that our souls hunger for in that progression, right? Yes, that is something that as humans, spiritually and scientifically shown that we all need to progress. And so anyway, I could talk about that all day long too, but gosh, Caleb, this has been a great conversation and one that I really needed to have. And I don't know that I necessarily realized that I did. So
that's what most of my clients say.
Yeah. And I'm a coach. So tell me, Caleb, before we go, where people can find more of you. So they can either get with you themselves or that they can say, hey, my college kid needs you.
Yeah. So I am on Instagram at Caleb the College Coach. You'll find a lot of my content, and then links are also in there. My website is www.calebpricecoaching.com. Make it really easy. And I also host a podcast of myself. It's called Relatable Thoughts. I focus on just helping young adults, people in college, really bringing my own relatable experience to everything and just helping you understand your own emotions and thought experiences and recognizing you aren't alone in that. And so I would love, to meet and talk with any of you guys. I just love doing this work entirely. I have a couple free things that you can check out. There's a breaking up with anxiety sort of video course that you can go through, helps you understand anxiety and its purpose in your life, as well as I know most college students or young people are just trying to figure out what the heck they want to do with their lives and figure out who they are. So I have a figure it out video course, and I'm sure the links will all be there. You can just find it on the website when you look, and you can always just message me directly, because I love, again, talking to people.
Love it. Thank you so much, Caleb. This has been fantastic, and you are doing amazing things in the world. I'm so excited.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for being here, everybody. And we will see you again next week.
Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter-day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.